Welcome to the Daily Boogie.
Hello.
Hello. It's looking good.
Sweet.
Do we have you on the line? Yes, we do. Fantastic. Ladies and... No, it's not Giovanni. It's not Giovanni. Ladies and gentlemen, our very special guest. I don't know, do we want video on there, friend, or have we
I can set it up if you want me to. It's just a little dark where I'm at.
Oh, okay. No, if you want to go voice alone, that's fine by me. Yeah, you've got the kids running around. No, that's all right. We can just do voice. That's fine. It is. He works for... Well, he's a writer, a content creator, a producer for Cernovich Media. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tom Shadilay. Good evening, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
What's going on, everybody? It's awesome. Awesome to be here. What's up, everybody?
Everyone say hi to Tom. Now, you were watching that. Sorry if we caught you at a bad time. We probably should have organised this better, but if the kids are around...
I like it. I like the being on the fly. I wasn't anticipating on having my daughter tonight, but we had a little thing, so she's here, but it's no biggie. She's going to bed anyway.
That's okay. This concerns her too. We're talking about the future here.
She's going to be woke. She's going to be woke.
Well,
she's already learning propaganda techniques as we speak.
Excellent. You've just watched us go over these, a few points there. You and I had this discussion about memetics a few weeks ago. If you check out the podcast on thecommondiscourse.com, you'll see. I'm thinking that this, like I said, this is a speech for Democrats. He's cleaving off Democrat voters. This is not for Republicans. First of all, is there any worth in that? Do you see anything? And if you could, can you talk about, what we're dealing with here in a long game sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad you brought it up because I couldn't have said it better myself. The entire speech was literally predominantly directed at the left, at liberals, at disaffected liberals especially, but it also sent a message. It drew a line in the sand for the real hard progressive, the obstructionist, the people who wouldn't stand during the speech. But yeah, long-term wise, this speech is. I try to tell people, and we've talked about this actually a few times, but a lot of people forget that the only reason Donald Trump won was because of disaffected Democrats.
Yep.
And that's a statistical fact. Donald Trump would not have won unless he had the votes of people who voted for Obama twice. And that is something that both the right and the left really, really overlook. And in this current political paradigm that's been created in these very strong political echo chambers on the right, the left, and the center, there's kind of two main ones with like a little third offshoot. But primarily, there's two echo chambers that have been created, and it's not, we always say the left doesn't listen to ideas and stuff, but in reality, in all honesty, if you were to analyze things objectively through the numbers, through the analytics, the right is almost just as guilty as this. And this kind of speech, I love to see. I waited. It didn't have to wait long. Now that the media cycles are so short. But I waited to see what the hit pieces were going to be, and I called them. As the speech was going, I was on a conference call with a friend, and we were just waiting to form the narrative. And I was waiting for the opposition pieces, and I called pretty much most of them before they came out about what they were going to say and stuff. But this speech, for those people, they don't realize, a lot of Americans don't realize that only a fraction of the American public voted in this election.
Yep.
You had the people that voted Democrat, the people that voted Republican, even with a record amount of turnover, like crossover in between Democrats voting for Trump, those kind of thing. Still, only a fraction of the American populace voted. And this is important because if we're going to win any kind of cultural battle, any kind of political battle, we won't do it by pandering to our own echo chamber. It's not growing at the rate and the void, the market void of ideology, of mind, is enormous for people who are literally disaffected from politics. They're disgusted with politics. They don't understand. They're not aware. They're just exhausted. The last, political election, the cycles, the media cycle, everything is set at such a breakneck pace that people, even people who love politics, are just exhausted.
Yep.
And it's those people that we have to reach out to. We have to try to reinvigorate. Yes, I see. I know. That's
She agrees.
Superhero.
She agrees.
I told you, man. I mean, she's gonna be trained. She's gonna be like Bernays is gonna be, nothing compared to her. You just watch.
What about then, Tom? You're right. A fraction of the American population actually voted. Other avenues then to building a kind of body politic which is formidable in a sense of rejecting, like I coin it, the kind of the intellectual academic edge to what's, the modern Democrat Party. I don't think they're particularly representative. I think that feeds in a lot to the disenfranchisement of a lot of voters because, what's good in a textbook university setting doesn't necessarily apply well in the quote unquote real world. And you've got a detachment there. And so when we're talking about getting people engaged again, little things like, I know it's crumbs, but little things like $1,000 from the boss at the end of the year, thanks to a fascist tax cut, that can go a long way. When you're out spending that money, you feel good, man. When you're getting that box home and you're unwrapping it, it feels good, right? To have that, just even that short burst of energy. And it's like, hey, why are we getting this money? How did this happen? And maybe then bang, straight away. Now we're thinking about tax cuts, right?
Oh, 100%. There's going to be so many things that affect the next few election cycles. And I think if things continue, and obviously there's so many variables, it's almost impossible to predict these things.
Exactly.
Just because of how quickly the attention span, how quickly the news cycles move, how quickly the scandals blow over or don't. But I think you're going to see a huge anomaly happen in voting if things continue progressing the way they are, the kind of momentum that's been built. When people start, especially in communities, minority communities and other communities in which maybe didn't think they would benefit from a Donald Trump presidency, when they start actually seeing, like you said, the cold hard cash in their hand, when they start trying to start businesses and realize exactly what's been happening and now the kind of benefits that they have, you're going to see a huge swing. And whether it's cultural, whether that ends up having, political results, it kind of is up to the American people at this point. And that's, kind of a whole nother thing. But we have to remember that it's us who gets to push this message. What's happening right now is there's a huge swing, and we understand the Overton window and this, the pendulum, but
sure,
right now is the key time for the people, for us, for small level influencers, for people who are interested in media, for people who want a voice. Now's the time. We are the final hammer that's going to drive these nails home. It's not going to be, some political messiah, although, I mean, he's laying the groundwork. He's literally laid the groundwork for us to do exactly what he wants us to do, work to get our country back.
Yeah, it's like a battering ram through the outside. If you're thinking about a siege mentality, and you've got the castle up there, and the queen is in the top of the castle, and the archers are, they're around the outer walls, and the peasants, after many years of firing arrows into the walls and having no effect, now comes and you can call that wall political correctness, for example. And a big battering ram comes through and punches a hole in that outer wall, and now the warriors are rushing into the wall and laying waste to the former, I'm not even going to attempt that word at this point.
Your visuals are just graphically insane right now. My mind, I have a visual brain. It's exploding with like Lord of the Rings, but I just picture like Nancy Pelosi flying over the wall in a catapult,
with bat wings.
Bernie Sanders riding an elephant over the,
Fly, my pretties. Like a lot of this speech with again tying in with the stories aspect, like it's all fine, it's all well and good to have facts and figures on your side, but if you can't put a face to it, again, we discuss this thing, an association meme. So, a stat is one thing, but somebody who's in the audience, who's getting a round of applause, who's smiling, who has a story like, I was out of work during the recession, now I'm back at work, manufacturing jobs are coming back, all of these jobs are coming back, you know what I mean? Then that gets associated. Same with the tax cuts. And it's not just policy, but you have to be able to sell it. And when you're trying to get people who are disengaged from politics on a grand scale, and even if they hate you, do you see any value in, even if you're hated by the electorate, you can still get votes from them?
Oh, I mean, I would say it's probably more, I care more about who hates me, and I think they're a bit better tool than who really loves me or pretends to love me. Yeah, 100%. And you're going to see the pressure that's being applied right now by the administration, by mostly rhetoric, to be honest, by Donald Trump's rhetoric and some of his legislation that's being pushed is insane. When you saw Donald Trump bring up Detroit,
yes.
I mean, there's Detroit, Chicago. Like, again, when people start seeing results, and they will, granted, minus some, catastrophic event, they will start seeing results at this pace, at this, in this pathway that we're on. And, good luck. I think there's going to be, we noticed this, there was a lot, like I already brought up, the crossover, the blue counties that voted red this year.
Yep.
And there's even some states, that's began switching colors. And I think you're going to see that even more, especially as these things start to progress, take hold, and people start seeing the evidence and the results in front of them. It's going to be very hard for people in Detroit to say what a terrible, evil person Donald Trump is, as their communities are completely revitalized by economic growth.
Yeah, when the GM factory starts back up again, when the Ford Motor Company starts making cars again, what did he say? When Motor City starts revving again, like little things like that. And again, that speaks to blue-collar manufacturer mentality as well, that kind of speech. He could have got up there and said, well, we're going to make, we're going to diversify investments. We're going to welcome back investors. We're going to cut tax, and this will welcome jobs. But that's not going to sell as much as, hey, let's get the big Motor City revving again, baby. It's little things like that. I know it sounds stupid, and people dismiss it out of hand, but that shit matters. Like, that shit plays.
Oh, 100%. You know what's funny? Is I love it because people, and it's so funny that people, majority of people, even people in media and politics, don't grasp this concept as well as they pretend to.
Mm-hmm.
But if that speech, people say Donald Trump's a conservative. The guy's not a conservative.
Never was.
He's not. If that speech were to be delivered, minus maybe some of the immigration stuff, but maybe in like 93 that could have flown out of any Democrat's mouth and it would have been acceptable.
Exactly.
If that speech would have been delivered by Hillary Clinton, the Democrats would have loved it. Minus maybe some of the immigration. If that piece was, that's a little bit different, but the majority, Hillary Clinton could have delivered that speech and the Democrats would have been losing their mind.
Well, that's the thing though, Tom. I know you didn't mean it this way, but I don't think Hillary Clinton could have delivered that speech.
Oh, she wouldn't. But
she's
I'm just
incapable of it. Yeah, I agree totally.
I'm just saying, as an example, if any Democrat would have delivered that speech, the Democrats would have lost their mind. Look at this, amazing, the best speech ever given. But because Donald Trump did it, then immediately. I think I was watching a clip of the Breakfast Club, that radio show. It's like an African. Dude, yes. You should have seen it the day after. I think it was this morning or something.
I can imagine.
They were painting it like as the most boring Hitlerian speech ever given, and brutal. It was, and I was dying laughing. But this paints. If people were curious, literally. I love this kind of speech because the next day it illustrates exactly the problem that we're going to be running into, and this is exactly why the speech was important, the way Donald Trump delivered it, and the way it was written by whoever collaborated on that speech, by the way, man, they better get a bonus. Because they killed it. But the echo chambers, this completely demonstrates the echo chamber effect. I watched that speech, blew me away, blew my socks off.
Mm-hmm.
The Breakfast Club watched that speech, Hitler. That's all they saw.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting thing that we need. This is exactly why reaching out in other ways, using terminology that maybe conservatives don't like, and talking about ideologies that conservatives don't like in a less reprehensible way is going to be the most powerful variable in the equation for this culture war long term.
It's about effectiveness, isn't it? You know, you can have all the ideas in the world, but if you're not effective, then you may as well not show up. And with stuff like the Breakfast Club, you know, every time a disaffected Democrat, blue dog kind of Democrat voter, who a lot of that speech, like you said, like I think most people agree, appeals to. I mean, even the modern Democrats, you know, the numbers were really high in the snap polls, and people say, oh, what about polls? But snap polls directly after an event tend to be more accurate than polls aggregated over a long period of time for, say, like an election campaign, right, in America.
Oh, the flash polls. As soon as the flash polls came out, it was a fantastic indicator for how terrified the Democratic Party is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shows, it paints the picture, but it's only an opportunity if we jump on it, if we use it. Otherwise, it's just another poll. But what it shows is that there is something that the MAGA movement, this resurgence, the Renaissance culturally, whatever's happening, it's real. And it's really not even about the conservative movement. It's not about affecting conservatives. We are already set. You know, or you know, I'm not really conservative, but that mindset's it's already been created. We don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
It's the rest of the people looking on, and that poll perfectly, I mean, was like 97% and like 70-something%, and even Democrats, like 43%
43, yeah, yep.
40, I mean, that's unheard of for a Republican speech, let alone for a Donald Trump Republican speech.
Well, exactly. That's why it's significant. And, you know, the fact that it was on CBS and on MSNBC and on CNN where these polls were conducted, they don't want to print that. They don't want to put those numbers out. That's the last thing they want to do. So it illustrates to me, like at a metagame level, Tom, that the power, the authority of the mainstream press is so so redacted now. It's so it's not even an issue anymore, because now they're having to print numbers that they don't even like on their own websites and on their own news channels, despite the campaigns that they've been engaged in. And I just tend to think, if you're one of these blue dog Democrats that Donald Trump was specifically targeting in this speech, and you go onto your favorite morning show and hear that it was Hitlerian and racist and evil and you need to dismiss it all, that's one less person listening. That's one more person that is now up for grabs if you can frame things the right way.
100%. 100%. And that is going to be the most, and what's going to happen, a lot of people, if you think long term, if you think not just in a media scope as we think about like the news cycle, stuff like that, but what you're going to see, and I've already seen it, I've been following it pretty closely actually, because I have a lot of independent projects that I'm running in this sphere, and what you're going to see now is the effectiveness of the mainstream media is going to continue dwindling in the way that they are hoping, hitting those disaffected voters, getting the swings from the swing states they want. And what you're going to see is an uptick in propaganda in other forms of media.
Sure.
You're going to start seeing in music more, which there's already a bunch, but music, TV programming, not just news, but entertainment shows as well. And I've already started to notice it's crazy the amount of propaganda that are being pumped out right now, because they know this is their game. They mastered this game. They perfected this game, so they know. And
they know it's coming.
Right. And this is exactly where we're going to be valuable now. Is we're already slaying it. The disaffected people, they're already starting to, that like those flash polls are a perfect example. They're already starting to realize that something is up. They're starting to reevaluate their political spheres again as the real
it's slipping from their hands.
Right, the real effects, the cash in front of their hands, the lower taxes, the business deductions, like all those kinds of things. As those really start to take a hold, the only thing they will have left is this culture push, and that's kind of where I'm focusing a lot of my stuff right now. And I know for everyone else, you just watch, just pay attention to this stuff. You're going to start seeing a crazy uptick of propaganda you've never seen in Hollywood movies, in music from major labels. and imagery on the television. That's their last line of defense, and to be honest, it's one of the hardest ones to break.
Well, it's Tom. It's kind of like, you know, we could predict the headlines on the hardcore liberal shows the next day. I was doing it myself. I was writing CNN headlines during the speech. You know, what's the CNN headline going to be tomorrow? We can predict it because they've got nothing else. That's why when your party has been captured by the intellectual academic left, and you're no longer serving the blue dog Democrat types, that's why you come out with, hey, everything's fascist, everything's racist, this is divisive, this is Hitlerian, because that's all you know at that point. And you've lost the will to, you know, represent the foundational people that you purport to, just when you give them lip service once every 4 years when it comes time to vote. But before I let you go, Tom, by the way, Tom, you find him at Cernovich Media, on Twitter at PS Media 1776, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Speaking of culture, speaking of propaganda, in a good way, not all propaganda's not bad. It's just a word.
It's a tool or a weapon.
It's a weapon. You've been involved recently in a little side project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, and I'll throw it up on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of your viewers are going to know because they follow me. They follow they follow a couple other people. Yep. They know Yellow Red Sparks. But at Grand Wonder Inc. on Twitter, Grand Wonder Inc. It's a new production company.
Grand Wonder Inc.
And it's at Grand Wonder Inc. on Twitter.
Okay.
And it's by Yellow Red Sparks. They launched a new label, and we're fighting in the culture. This is the next battle. This is the battle that's going to be deciding a lot of things long term. And, you know, anything you guys can do to go to at Grand Wonder Inc., support them, at Yellow Red Sparks, support Josh. He's a friend of mine. He's a great artist.
It's up on the screen now. Grand Wonder Inc. on Twitter. Yeah,
awesome.
Sorry, Tom. Yep.
You're good. And the song's called The Great Media Hoax, and there's a music video. It's on Cernovich's Facebook. And it coincides with the hoax documentary that's going to be coming out this year. Insane. It's going to be insane.
Beautiful.
The production value is out of this world. So
converging ideas, converging avenues of attack. Tom Shadilay, you're an absolute champion for staying up late and having a chat to us. Wish you all the best. We'll let this song play us out. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and look at Joe Kennedy's response to the...
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.
No, anytime, Tom. It's an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Shadilay. We'll be back after this little 5-minute break. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
What you've given is second sight.